In the heart of the Luo Plains, beneath an endless sky, there was a man born of myth and power. Luanda Magere, the stone warrior. He was more than human, a force of nature with a body impervious to blades, arrows, or fire. His enemies feared him. His people worshipped him. In their darkest nights, they whispered his name as both a prayer and a warning to the heavens. Luanda's victories were many, his strength unmatched. But destiny is a cruel architect, building triumphs only to topple them with shadows unseen. To the Nandi people, Luanda was a living curse. They tried everything to defeat him. Armies fell, strategies failed, their strongest warriors reduced to ash in his presence. Desperation drove them to seek another kind of weapon, not forged of steel, but born of cunning. A council was called, and in its dim-lit chamber, a plan was sown. They would not meet him on the battlefield. They would meet him at his hearth, and they would send her. She was beautiful, with eyes like twilight and a voice like the wind through reeds. To look at her was to forget pain. She would not need a spear to pierce him. Under the guise of peace, the Nandi elders offered her as a gift. A union, they said, to bind our peoples in harmony. Luanda's people, weary of endless war, welcomed her with open arms. And Luanda, fierce in battle but tender in love, took her as his wife. For a time, the air around him softened. The war drums fell silent, replaced by the quiet music of shared laughter. She was gentle, attentive, asking questions that soothed his weary spirit. And then, one night, her voice broke through the stillness. My love, they say you cannot be harmed, not by man, not by beast. Tell me, what makes you so invincible? Luanda, lulled by her warmth, laughed. It is no secret, he said. No weapon can harm my body, but my shadow. His voice dropped, a hint of pride coloring his words. Harm my shadow, and you harm me. She smiled, her fingers brushing his cheek. In her eyes, he saw affection. He did not see the flicker of triumph. When the Nandi came, they came with purpose. Their war cries split the night as their warriors swarmed the plains. Luanda, unshaken, rose to meet them, his spear gleaming under the moonlight. The first wave fell like leaves in a storm, their weapons breaking uselessly against his skin. His laughter thundered across the battlefield, a reminder of his invincibility. But then, a spear flew, not toward his body, but toward the earth beneath his feet, toward his shadow. The blow struck true. A sound escaped Luanda, a terrible guttural roar that seemed to split the heavens. He staggered, his mighty form trembling. For the first time, he felt pain, not of the body, but of the soul. He turned to see his shadow writhing, pinned like prey under the spear. The Nandi watched, their faces pale with disbelief as the unthinkable unfolded. The invincible warrior fell to his knees, his breath ragged. His stone skin cracked, his form shuddering as his body turned to lifeless rock. And there, on that blood-soaked field, the legend of Luanda Magere came to an end. Today, a great stone stands where Luanda fell, weathered by time but unyielding, much like the man himself. The wind that sweeps the plains never touches it, as if even nature mourns his loss. The Nandi won that night, but their victory came hollow, haunted by the shadow of what they had done. Luanda Magere's tale is not just one of strength, but of betrayal. The kind that strikes from within, silent and unseen. Even the strongest among us can fall, not to enemies at the gates, but to the ones we allow into our hearts. So, ask yourself, who stands in your shadow? And when they lean close, will they shelter you or strike?